So, you still suck at video games. That's unfortunate, but it's probably not your fault. See, you have been tricked by a thing that basically every game and every developer utilizes to make sure you stay bad at their game. And it can be summarized in one word.
Victory!
Winning is the main draw of most games. You want to win your league game, you want to kill the boss, you want to climb the ladder. Winning feels good, so naturally, it becomes the goal. And because winning is the goal, you do the most logical thing. You take the path of least resistance. You play what you're already good at. You avoid risks, you avoid uncomfortable situations, you stay inside your comfort zone. That's important, remember that. In one individual game, that makes sense. If your only goal is to win right now, your best chance is always to rely on what you already know. But that's also a huge problem. You see, your comfort zone is where you win the most in the short term, but learn the least in the long term, because learning is just tied to failure. You don't get better by repeating what you already know, you get better by stepping into things you don't know yet. And when you do that, you are going to play worse at first, which is the part you probably hate. To get better, you have to temporarily become worse. You have to make decisions that actively lower the chances of you winning this specific game, because they increase the chance of winning future games. And that's why focusing on victory is so deceptively dangerous. Winning disguises itself as a goal, as an objective you should focus on, but winning is just the consequence of skill being applied. This is the point most people hit a wall while climbing. Your comfort zone carries you until it places you exactly where you belong, and once you reach that point, doing the same thing over and over again won't move you forward. Now, on the other hand, people always say losing makes you stronger, but that's not really true. Losing doesn't magically make you better. What makes you better is learning new things, and learning new things makes you more likely to lose at first. So if you want to improve, you cannot treat individual wins and losses as an objective. Your objective has to be growth, because when you stop obsessing over whether you won the last game or not and start obsessing over whether you improved during it, the whole process becomes faster, healthier, and way more efficient. This is a guitar, which I've been able to play proficiently for like over a decade. Not to brag. What I find interesting is when people see someone good at playing an instrument, they say something along the lines of, I wish I was that talented, or I've always wanted to play guitar. But any attempts they make at these sort of things usually falls off pretty quickly. Now, of course, what I mentioned aren't some obscure, mystical, unobtainable skills. It just takes a lot of practice to get good. The disconnect happens when you see the end result of somebody that is proficient. So the goal becomes the fantasy of being good instead of the process of getting good. And this is just a recipe for disappointment. That's why they quit instantly, because they're not there yet. If you only love the idea of being good at something, then every moment you are not will feel like failure. Instead, if you want to get good at something, you need to start loving the process. Not only the dream of where you could be, but also where you are right now. Basically, once you start disconnecting the result, the success, the victory as the immediate goal, you can start building goals that are more grounded in the process of achieving those things, not the thing itself. Okay, quick note, this is actually extremely difficult to do. I mean, I'm making the video and I struggle with this a lot, but specifically in regards to ranked and ladder. But to avoid this video being way too long, I've actually included a separate audio track where I go more in depth on each segment, which you can listen to later if interested. Okay, back to it. Because at your peak, a win or lose is basically a 50-50 chance, a coin toss. And it's extremely frustrating to hedge all of your personal validation on something you feel like you have no control over. I'm sorry, European homes don't have air conditioning. When you are focusing on victory, you are chasing the feeling of being good at something. You are looking forward to where you might one day be, and instead of treating each individual game as a chance to learn and become better, you treat it as the end-all be-all. Win or lose is all that matters to you, and it just can't be that way if you ever want to get good. Did you know that phone gaming is bigger than both PC and console combined? The games you can find on phones grow more ambitious every day, yet typically people's phones are not at all suited for gaming. This is where today's sponsor, the Red Magic 11 Pro, comes in. With 2 fully customizable shoulder triggers, it transforms phone gaming into something that's actually intuitive. And with the triggers being customizable, it doesn't just limit their usage to FPS. Since you can position them anywhere you want on the screen, it's useful in any type of genre you could imagine. But even more insane than this is the plugin library. The library has tons of features to give you a competitive edge, but probably more importantly for me is that it opens up so many customization options. Mobile games are usually pretty limited in how they allow you to customize your UI, your keybinds, etc., making them oftentimes pretty awkward to play compared to, let's say, their PC counterparts. This is no longer an issue, because with this I can force change aspect ratios, I can duplicate parts of my screen to reach them easier or for better interactivity, because yeah, they are fully interactable. I can even remap keys even if the game doesn't allow me to, letting me basically choose whatever setup I want. Aside from just gaming related stuff, the phone is genuinely a technological marvel. It's the world's first mass-produced liquid cooling smartphone, 95.3% screen to body ratio, and look, it even lays flat with no camera bumps. So if you've grown tired of your phone lagging, getting too hot or running out of battery, this is the phone for you. The Red Magic 11 Pro really is the definition of cutting edge, not just in hardware but also software. Now, you could wait 10 years for others to catch up, or you could simply click my link down in the description and check out the Red Magic 11 Pro for yourself. Okay, cool. That sounds philosophical, but what should you actually do? Well, first you have to understand one very important thing. You do not know how bad you actually are. Chess. Ever heard of it? Chess is incredibly simple in concept. Each piece can move a certain way. Once you know the rules, basically anyone can sit down and play. Yet the difference between a beginner and a grandmaster is astronomical. A beginner would lose 100 times in a row to someone that's decent. That decent player would lose 100 times in a row to someone that's good, and so on. The game has simple mechanics, but practically infinite strategic depth. The game is all about decision making, or what we like to call it in video games is macro. But of course, there's a thing missing for us here. In video games, we're used to something else entirely. Mechanical execution. Clicking heads, landing skill shots, pulling off combos. That's what we call micro. Micro is physically difficult. It's reaction time, it's precision, it's control. But there's a key difference between the two, and that is that micro is completely visible. When someone hits an insane shot, you see it happen. The input, the action, the result, all in seconds. Macro, on the other hand, is completely invisible. Macro happens inside of the player's head. You don't see why they rotated early. You don't see why they gave up that objective. You don't see why they decided to slow the game down. You only see the outcome. And this completely invisible thing, macro, is where most players by far stagnate. Because micro is visible, you improve it naturally by just playing the game. When you queue up, you feel when you miss, and you can just queue again, you can grind it, you can practice it. But macro, on the other hand, does not improve passively. It requires reflection, studying, rewiring how you think about the game. In chess, when you see a pro think 20 moves ahead, it's hard to understand, but it's somewhat expected based on what type of game it is. It's all about strategy. But what most people don't realize is that pro video game players are doing the exact same thing, but it's hidden behind mechanics, it's hidden behind the outcome you can physically see. And the real problem with all of this, if you don't already somewhat understand macro, if you don't already somewhat understand how these players are thinking, how they play the game, you literally cannot see it. You cannot comprehend why the decision was correct. If you ever watched a game with RNG involved, like a card game, such as Hearthstone, you've probably seen a top player make a decision that looks like it throws the game. They take a risk, they make a strange play, and they end up losing. And your instinct will naturally be, that was a mistake, because that's the result that you were able to see. But the reality is, in many situations, there is no one move that will guarantee a win. There are only moves that increase your probability of winning. A great player isn't playing to win this exact game state, they're playing to maximize their long-term odds. And sometimes maximizing your odds still results in a loss. But because you can only see the outcome, not the probabilities behind it, you will always instinctively judge the result, not the reasoning behind it. And thinking this way is exactly what gets you stuck. If we can accept that the person we're watching is genuinely skilled at the game, then instead of asking why did they do that, we should be asking what did they see that I didn't. Once you stop judging decisions purely based on outcome and instead start analyzing the why behind them, macro suddenly becomes a whole lot more visible. And that is where games really start to become interesting. Macro doesn't just make you better, it changes what you can see, how you perceive gameplay. At first you will learn one concept, maybe positioning, maybe resource control, and suddenly you will start noticing mistakes you never even realized were mistakes before. Then you go on to learn another layer. All we want is for the snowball effect to kick in, because the more you understand about the game, the more you will realize how much you don't know. Every new layer you uncover exposes 5 new layers underneath. The game will get deeper, not simpler. You might have heard a lot of pro players compare the top 1% to the top 0.1% and say it's as big as the 100 to 1%. This is why. Because the more you start learning, the more you realize how big of a gap there is. Now, to some of you this might sound like fucking gibberish, but I cannot stress this enough. Micro is limited by the game's engine. Macro is only limited by our collective human imagination. It expands as our understanding expands. Macro is the reason why metas exist, why they shift and evolve. Macro is the reason why games that haven't gotten an update in over 20 years keep getting more and more advanced by the day. But it's important to realize that macro is inherited. You do not have to reinvent the wheel, at least not at first. For example, you might notice that in esports, a lot of new, very young players quickly rise to the top. They aren't discovering strategy from scratch. They're standing on top of years of accumulated theory. And once you grasp this, once you start seeing macro and learning how things evolve and shift, the rate at which you improve will also change completely. So, to sum it up, macro is decision making. It's knowing what to do in any given moment. It's recognizing game states. It's literally everything that doesn't involve queuing it up again and running it down mid, hoping for a better result. Let's see how we can actually put that into practice. Alright, you've decided to step outside your comfort zone. You've decided you're ready to fail. You're ready to lose a few games in order to get better. So, how do you practice something that's invisible? Learning anything is simple in theory, but difficult in execution. So, I've decided to make 3 steps for you. 1. You must understand what you're learning and why it matters. 2. You must apply it in a real scenario. 3. You need repetition. And all 3 of those are required. If you don't understand the what and why of it, you won't recognize when to apply it. If you don't apply it in real games, it will stay abstract and your brain will discard it. And if you don't repeat it, it never becomes automatic. You're essentially training your brain to recognize patterns faster. The whole goal of learning is to remove cognitive load. When you speak your native language, you don't actively construct sentences word by word, you just know what to say. And something like that is kind of our goal. At first, when learning something new, you will have to consciously think, like when learning a new language. It will feel slow and it will feel forced. But with repetition, what we want is for these concepts to become automatic. And once it does, once you no longer have to think about it, now you've managed to free up mental bandwidth. You no longer have to think about it, it comes naturally to you. And that's when we can start learning the next layer. And this is crucial. Something needs to become automatic before you can move on. You can't keep all this information in your brain at once. So, to actually do this, there are again 3 simple steps to follow. Watch, research, and play. First, you shall watch, but not passively. When you're watching a high-level player, your job isn't necessarily to be entertained. Your job is to predict and listen. Listen to what they're saying about the game state, any nuggets you can pick up. Once they say something, ask yourself if you understand it. Ask yourself, what would I do here? What is my thinking in this situation like? And if it's different, that's good. That is where you lack understanding. A lot of pro players will straight up explain their reasoning to you. That's the inherited macro. You do not have to invent it yourself. Once you've picked a concept, maybe it's tempo, maybe it's spacing, rotation, aggression timings. Now you need depth. Watch guides, look up discussions, ask better players questions. Because simply being aware of something is not the same as understanding how to apply it. Now, you set an actual goal, not win the game, something specific. For example, for the next 5 games, I will be tracking enemy cooldowns. For the next 10 games, I will be checking the minimap every 5 seconds. For this next session, I will only take fights when I am certain I have the advantage. That is your win condition. Win or lose the match, completely irrelevant. Your only objective is to execute what you've researched. That is the only thing that matters. And you just repeat it until it becomes automatic. Until it stops being something you consciously think about. You no longer have to think about checking the minimap every 5 seconds. You do it instinctively. It has become part of how you see the game. Then you just move on to the next thing. Developing real skill forces you to slow down, to think, to deliberately make decisions that improve you, not just decisions that help you survive the next match. Queuing up again is easy, training is not. And yeah, it's a bit of work, but also so is staying stuck. Winning is fun, getting better is fun, but sitting in the same rank for months, if not years, not understanding why you're not improving, that's probably a bit worse than just putting in some work. So, you have a choice. Keep playing or start practicing efficiently, consciously. Start setting real goals, not centered around winning or losing, centered around actual improvements. I understand this might be a bit vague and not exactly what you were hoping for, but it's kinda impossible to give a play-by-play for every kind of game out there that exists. But just go watch a pro player. I promise they will say or mention something that you probably don't fully understand, or you could just be playing and notice something about yourself that you have no idea how it works, like why you always get ganked at level 3 and keep losing the game off of it. Try to notice your own weaknesses and then explore. Now, let's talk about something that's a lot easier to understand, but probably just as important. Every competitive game has some form of randomness. Bad teammates, bad matchups, bad card draws. Whatever form it takes, variance always exists. But this is true for everybody. It exists for everybody. Every player experiences lucky and unlucky streaks, and over 10, 100, 8,000 games, randomness statistically has to balance out, which leaves only one consistent variable, one sole reliable factor in any game: you. Unless you can hand pick your teammates, and even then, the only thing you have 100% agency over in any game is yourself, your own skill. And that's a good thing, because that means improvement is always within your own control. It doesn't matter if one game your teammates sucked. It doesn't matter if you were unlucky 10 times in a row. It happens to everybody. So let's put this into perspective. Over 1,000 games, a 1% increase in win rate increases your wins by 10. That's a 20 game swing from 1%. That's like the difference between being hardstuck and climbing. And that's just 1%. If even 1% can massively swing your long-term performance, then this doesn't just apply to your own skill. It applies to everything you can contribute to within the game. Your attitude, how often you tilt, how often you make your teammates tilt, how often you queue up angry instead of focused. Tilt isn't just emotional, it's mathematically expensive. You're wasting time. Every time you mentally check out of a game, you're lowering your win rate. Every time you flame someone and they give up, you're lowering your win rate. And since small edges all compound upward, small mistakes also all compound downward. A disciplined mindset, not tilting, not flaming. It's not about being nice, it's just about protecting yourself. It's about protecting your own time, your own experience that you're having with the game. Because in the long run, you need every single percent you can get. The only thing that matters is you. Your ability to throw a lead while ahead, your ability to make a comeback from a bad spot, your ability to make the best out of every situation, good or bad, is what matters. Teammates, good or bad luck are all a non-factor in the long term. They practically do not even exist. But you do. So these things are probably why you still suck at video games. It's not bad teammates, it's not RNG, it's just you, and always will be you until you improve. Too long didn't watch, practice, don't even think about winning or losing. Yeah. Bye. If you're interested to hear more in-depth thoughts, just change the audio track and start over for a bit of a podcast experience. Bye bye.